Okay, I'm back again. I guess I was using a lot of chi and knocked myself right offline. Um, there was my friend Rose here. Hopefully, you can pop back on. Um, what I was talking about was giving some information from my book, Radiant Heart. So, this is like part two. Okay, this is part two, giving this announcement. And what I want you to know, there you are. Yep, we're back. So, the first course, numerology course, starts Wednesday evening, and it'll probably kick off at about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you, yeah, it'll be Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'll go on at probably at 6 p.m. out here in Mountain Standard Time. So it'll be Wednesday evening, and I'm typing it in here. Wednesday evening, February the 5th through, let me get the proper date when it ends, April 30th. And those are all Wednesday nights in 2025. Now, the course standard fee is $400. Okay, let me put this through. The standard fee is $400. And that's from, you can start paying it January 19th, and the cutoff point is February the 26th. There's an early bird fee though that'll start coming up right now, January the 2nd, and the last time I usually receive that fee is on January the 18th. From January the 2nd to January the 18th is the early bird fee, and that's $297. So you're saving $103. When you email me at iam.circlegrace1@gmail.com, I'll give you all the different ways that you can pay for the course. I even do installments. So that's good. Now, coming up in March for the Radiant Heart course, uh, don't want to accidentally knock myself off here. Radiant Heart course, and that one will start on Tuesday evenings. And I might have to put out an email because sometimes people might try to take both of them at the same time. So they'll be overlapping if you start with numerology and you're also paying into the Radiant Heart course. I'll work out some a nice deal if you're trying to take two of them at the same time. It's a lot of work though. Okay. And the Radiant Heart course will be Tuesday evenings, beginning March the 4th, and it ends on May 27th in 2025. So I just really kind of came to mind. I know some people, hey, I'm going to try to do both of those courses. So if you happen to try to do both of those courses, I should give you some type of a deal so that you're not stressed by it. And one of the things you want to realize is that, again, for the Radiant Heart course, the standard fee is $437. It starts around February 1st through February 28th to pay it. But there's an early bird fee for $365, January 2nd through January 31st. So, oh, I'll give you a deal. You want to do both? Then what you want to do is email me at iam dot circle of grace one at gmail.com, and we'll have some payment arrangements that you can do. I'll send you the five different ways that you can make the payments, installments, and if you're going to do both of them, I'll work out something real nice for you. I'm about to work. I mean, yeah, I got to get paid, but I'm in this for the work, sharing this information and putting this information out for a long time. And like I say, if this person that I'm now in touch with If this is the real deal, and I think it is, my life might change for the better on a whole nother level, which would be kind of nice at age 72 going into 73. But I'll rest assured I will work out a price for both courses for you so that you're not paying astronomical. In other words, I wouldn't want you paying the standard fee of 400 for the numerology with the standard fee of 437, because that means you're going to be paying $837. And my ancestors, especially my mother Grace, my first spiritual teacher from the other side, I don't need her whipping me in the heavens. you know, I might give you the early bird fee 297 with 365, but that would put you in the neighborhood of $662. So I'm going to give you a deal. So instead of paying like 600 on the early bird fee, I'll probably cut it down to 500, and you wind up doing 250 a piece. And then you get both courses at the same time, okay? But you would be taking both. The numerology will start Wednesday, February the 5th, and it goes all the way up to April the 30th, and then Radiant Heart kicks in on Tuesdays in March, starting with Tuesday, March the 4th. Yeah, Tuesday, March the 4th. So I'm going to make a little notation like right now. And this is going to be for anybody that attempts to do this. So you could have both courses for $500, and we work out some payment arrangements that you could do that would be comfortable for you. And they're going to be live video stream, but using my private Zoom link. You don't need anything for that. I have your email address already, so I'll start putting that together for you. And then the deadline dates will be different. You won't be like held to the line, but you could pay these like 5 attempts, at $100 a piece. You can do them, two for 250, whichever is comfortable for you. Four of them at 125 a piece. However, that's comfortable. And I'll probably state that in the email. I'll give you my phone number in there as well. So if you want to talk about it, as time starts developing and how to get that out. I still have to get the way I taught Radiant Heart. I'm going to leave it. I go through all 13 chapters, but I might do the numerology a little different because it's a lot of work that gets involved. And usually with the numerology course, 13 weeks, the 13th class is free. So it's like you're paying for 12 and you get the 13th one free. So I'll work all that out and I have you down here. But let me give you a little taste of. I know you've heard me on Lloyd's show a lot doing the numerology, but here's some of the things that in this book that we're going to cover. And some of this information is pretty deep. Part one is called the foundation, and there are about 6 chapters that we have to cover, one chapter each week. First one was Radiant Heart. What is that? And you learn about what the Circle of Grace One is. You learn about we're never alone. You learn about the importance of dreams, meditation, and guided meditation. You learn about the infinite systems that are the keys of living light, and creative pathwork meditation system, which is my own, that I put together over the past 50 years or so. And then we go to part two, and part two is the introduction of the 7 amazing pathways. The first thing you're going to learn first week is how to do a white light meditation and what that's all about. In the second week after that, which is going to put you in week number 8, you're going to learn method number 2. And this is beloved Akhenaten's Path of the Cobra and the Blue Flame. And that information comes up in his book called um, The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am, which is a channeled book all to itself. Then week number 9, which is chapter number 9, we go to method number 3, and this is beloved Nefertiti's Gift of the Blue Flame. And I wrote a whole book channeled called The Gift from Nefertiti of my remembrance with her and Akhenaten. Then when we get into Chapter 10, we get method number 4, and that's the sound and light frequencies and how to identify that. And then we get into speak as I am, which is method number 5. Now, I might have to combine them a little bit together, such as sound and light and speak as I am. They may come together. And then we learn about selenite, the gemstone selenite. Everybody has them by now. Gemstone selenite, and this is known as the master. In fact, selenite is the lead gemstone for my Circle of Grace 1. And then we experience method number 7. And method number 7 is the gateway to your higher self in the great central sun. So there's a lot of things that you're going to learn in a 13-week span. You'll learn about some of the things in part 3, which is the 6 keys to shift your awareness. We learn about the importance of silence. We learn that you are the living obelisk. The journey to grace is the path of enlightenment. Your living prayer, no more secrets, and being a beacon light. And then we get into part 4, which is the philosophy of the higher self. So when we get in those other 2 sections down here, each of the chapters, 6 chapters, are clustered together, three, three and three, like that, so that you can receive this information, because it's going to be very important. And towards, there are people who have already taken the course back in the summer, and I'm completing free follow-ups for them. Now, I was charging them like $44 for the follow-ups, but then I said, yeah, I don't need to do that. Just do the follow up. And the follow up is like a question and answer. So I'll be excited, Rose, to give you both of these courses for $500. And I think it's a good price for anybody that's going to try to do it. And I had a feeling that someone was going to ask about that. This is highly important. I'm just going to read something from this book that is kind of nagging me a little bit. So this book is very unique because it has the 5 decrees of awareness and remembrance that was given to me to be placed in this book. We talk about the different forms of meditation, such as guided meditation, mindfulness meditation, and all of these I've had experience in doing. Group meditations. I teach out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico every Saturday morning, only for an hour. I teach from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Most of the teaching is 40, most of the meditation is 45 minutes, where I get them from mindfulness techniques all the way into silent meditation. And the whole idea is to get to silent meditation so you can begin to connect with your higher self. And usually, the teaching that I'm doing about meditation with the power of grace in it at the same time, the spirit of grace, the principle of grace. Usually, in about 6 months, most of my students start walking that bridge and meeting up with the higher self. And then eventually they start acting more like their higher self on earth. And that's going to be essential right now. With everything that's going on in the world, is for people to connect with their higher self, because you are that being. You're not just someone operating in the human form. Your higher self is trying to come through. And with all of this crap, I'm going to say, that's happening in the world, and they may kick off, they have no idea they're getting ready to strike a match, and your higher self is going to come out like a dragon, a unicorn, you name it. It's going to come forward, and it's going to start speaking through you. What they're operating on is, like Akhenaten said in his book in chapter 3, they're acting out of a miscreated ego. And their miscreated ego is the me, I, and I got billions of dollars and you don't have anything. What they don't understand is that ain't going to last forever. It's coming to a halt. They just think they're going to be the ones telling everybody else what to do. And I meet people every day that are saying, what do you think is going to happen? And these are Europeans out here in Albuquerque. And what do you think is going to happen? Because I really don't want that guy. And I keep telling you, whatever your religious belief is, you better get in it. You better start riding that horse. You better do some fasting Better do some prayer and get together. You ain't got to get into a bunker. Your bunker is your shield. You get into that and you start invoking your ancestors, and they're going to come forward and bring your higher self kicking and screaming to show up in the world. And see, when we work as a light worker, this is only happening so that we can pull on these other timelines that do exist. There are timelines where all of those people are in and they're completely different. Other timeline where they're actually helping people. And I mean everybody. They're not carrying this racial identification with them, but they have blocked themselves off from their higher self. We haven't done that. Our higher self is living and breathing right over the top of our head. We're sitting in the lap of the higher self. We're going to find out that we the angel, not a higher self is there. Angel is nothing more than a play on words. The angles of light, the angles of truth that we are about to show is going to come forward. And the more of us that show our own personal light and link it up with the cosmic light, we're going to be like the doggone tribe over here in the United States. And it's going to show itself. It's going to cause you to wake up in the middle of the night and have a room full of ancestors talking to you. And they're going to tell you how to operate each and every moment of your life. So some of the things in this book that I talk about is group meditation. It's necessary. Mindfulness meditation. Um, Also guided meditation, global healing meditation, mantra meditation, yantra meditation. In India, mantra is repeating a certain phrase or a seed word. You probably have seen them. Ram, R-A-M, Yam, Y-A-M, which is the heart, Ram, which is the solar plexus. And all of these terms, right? All of these are seed thoughts that change you, all right. Then there's the yantra, which is sacred geometrical patterns that you gaze into, and they act like a portal that you go into and you see other sides of yourself or the higher realms. Then there's sound meditation. A lot of people are following solfeggio tones. You can go on the internet and get the hertz frequencies that deal with healing, like 528 hertz or 432 hertz, and hear them side by side ring a tone through tuning forks, crystal bowls, gongs, Tibetan bowls. All of these things help. All of these things create a frequency that you are doing. Yeah, and breath work. Now, there are a lot of people, as I said in the other video, there are a lot of people right now that are trying to get people to do Kundalini awakening. What they don't understand is once that Kundalini gets struck, and especially if you get down on the nerve endings in the tailbone, it's going to come up what is called a sushmina. The sushmina is the inner hole in the disc, and it's going to go through the disc. It may rush, it may go quietly, it may go slow. But once it gets in here, this operates differently. It may get into the heart and cause people to have a heart attack because the heart works off of electrical impulses. So many hundreds of volts is in the heart. That's why they put those what's those fibrillators as they call them. When a person is out and they put the two metal plates up against the body on the chest, what to shock them, shock the heartbeat back into jumping, right? But you got it there naturally. And these people that are selling this concept should never be trying to make money off of it. Because what can happen is many of them get hit with a lawsuit. Because if you don't know the ramifications, the side effects of the Kundalini coming up the spine, when it triggers the pineal gland, which is about the size of an acorn or a pecan, when it lights that thing up, that starts vibrating on the inside, that shoots up into the pituitary gland, which then gets into your crown. You're going to see some things. They're not ready to see everything all at once. If we were ready to be able to see everything all at once, we'd have absolute control. in this world. Not everybody can see everything at one time. Think of like a fly with its eyes. People try to swat the fly. Fly is feeling the air brushing up on the hair against its body, but it sees all these multi images of you at the same time. So it knows which one of you in the images may strike it and how to get out of your way. Imagine all of that being seen inside your head. People don't understand when the Kundalini gets awakened, the body gets hot. The body starts to sweat. And as I said in part one, before we got cut off, usually what will happen is if they don't have anybody teaching them about the proper breath work, because a lot of people, I know what they're going to teach them. They're going to teach them this fire breath work. And guess what? If they're not in control of that, they'll be set on fire on the inside. They will have the combustible part going on. That's when all those chakra points in your meridians get lit up and can't nobody control it. You'll be drinking water and it ain't gonna help them. They can put them in a box with ice. That ain't gonna help them because the fire within is gonna race through the body. And I've seen people with burn marks on their skin. I've seen there was a guy back in it was 1981, 82, when I was teaching in Harlem, New York. And I was there with some people, and there was a guy there. Now, at that time, I was just in my 30s. There was a gentleman there in his 40s, and he was learning Kundalini Yoga. Someone taught him, and then he went out to try to teach it himself, but he didn't have the control yet. And his teacher said, "Oh, yeah, you're certified. You go out and teach it." So he used to come and teach the Kundalini Yoga up in Harlem, where I had an affiliation at one point. And I noticed something with him. I said, he looks like he's spazzing out or spacing out during class. He doesn't look like he's centered or grounded to me. And when I used to shake his hand, his name was Harold. When I used to shake Harold's hand, he had too much heat. In fact, at one point, after about teaching us for 6 weeks, he had a dramatic thing that happened to him that he couldn't reverse. One side of his body was shutting down, was getting cool, and the other side of his body was becoming extremely warm. He lived in Harlem by himself. He was a single guy, very nice, pleasant guy. He also studied a little bit of yoga, and he wound up going into the hospital. And he was in the hospital for about 90 days, and the worst came. He had so much fire and heat in his body, he began to look old. And the people were saying, "What is going on with my brother?" They had to put him in the mental side of the hospital because he was bolted down on the bed. He was yelling and screaming, throwing things in the room. But guess what? The person that was teaching him, when they found out that this was going on with him, they didn't show up. He would call out for his teacher in the middle of the night, "Please come and get me." He called out to his family members about the teacher, but they didn't know where the teacher was. The teacher was right there, downtown Manhattan. When he found out that Harold was in the hospital, he never showed up. So sometimes people need to watch who's going to teach them these things. Because if your teacher's not going to show up, who taught you all of that, that's a disservice to the student and to the community. And what basically happened was he burst on fire in the bed. They're able to get the fire down. He had burnt marks all over his body, leading up into his neck and chest and face and back. But by the time they got it all calmed down, his weight shriveled. This guy went from a strapping, he wasn't a muscular guy, but he was a guy that was maybe about 220 pounds. And after about 9 months being in the hospital struggling, First 90 days, he was losing a lot of weight. Then they picked it up. And then after those 90 days, that's when this other stuff happened. And no matter the nutrients that they put into his bloodstream, IVs wasn't helping him. In about 6 to 9 months, he passed on. Could never find a teacher. I knew another friend of mine. There's a person I used to date when I lived in Jersey. Oh, I was on Long Island. She was in New Jersey. And she was studying with a well known guy. I don't want to mention his name at this time. I'm quite sure karma is catching him. But he teaches people how to flash their chi out. And the person I was dating at the time, she had gone into remission with cancer about maybe 5 or 10 years before I met her. She used to have told me a drug issue. That was long before I met her. But she was flashing the chi out. Traveled to India with him, came back. She passed away. She was born in 1957. So she's about 5 years older than me. She passed away right around her 50th birthday. In fact, the day after her birthday, because she was born December 10th, 1957. And she transitioned after being in the hospital, while being in the hospital for 6 months. Her weight went from what she had down to almost nothing. Yeah, see, a lot of people say, I know about the Kundalini. No, they don't. Because if you haven't gone through it, you don't know what it's like. And that ex girlfriend, when she went into the hospital from Jersey, they had to drive her to the Mayo Clinic there in New York City, the cancer clinic, because the cancer rose back up like someone struck a match. And guess what? It ran through her entire system from cervix cancer to breast cancer. She was out of here in 6 months. And people were calling me up. Can you pray? I said, I'm praying, but you better find that teacher. That teacher never answered his phone. He stayed. In fact, he went back to India, knowing full well that she was there in the hospital. And she was one of his top students. He pretended to be busy. So I have to be careful. Doesn't matter who they come in the world. You got to find them in here in the heart. There's a lot of people who know about these techniques, but they're not going to teach them. Why? Because if the person they're teaching can't handle it, that's a strike or a charge against them. I always tell people it's better to stay on the outside of the spine. In fact, on the outside of the body with the energy. You can deal with the Kundalini in an etheric form outside of the body. You have a better opportunity of handling it. Or if you study Qigong like Master Montauk Chi, who's probably in his 80s, 70s, and 80s by now, he teaches what they call the macro orbit with the Chi. He brings the Chi on the inside of the body, but on the outside of the spine, from the tailbone all the way up, down, and around. And he teaches the micro orbit, which is putting it really inside the body. But that's rare that he gives that out. So people have to be very, very careful. So one of the things I'm going to do, there's also the flower of life meditation, where you function on the pattern for the flower of life. That's a very universal symbol, and it's a very easy, system for the body. Then there's moving meditation, such as the sun salutation found in Hatha Yoga, or work with Qigong or Tai Chi postures. That's safer for the body. And then there's the silent form. And that's where we're actually going. You can also use crystals on your body as well. To use crystals on your body really helps you. You can put crystals around in your residence. That will help you at the same time. But I'm going to read a passage here from my book that we will cover. I'm going to go more to the back of the book. Because one of the things I like to bring forward is that we have this opportunity uh, to transform ourselves to go into a deeper level. This is, give you a little bit of it. This is chapter 21 of my book. In chapter 21 in the book, Radiant Heart, it is the higher self is the eternal I am presence. It is a fact that the higher self has many expressions that are truly infinite and beyond the realm of the finite mind, and yet can be found to be everywhere at once. It can meet you anywhere and still maintain its pristine appearance. It communicates with you at will. The higher self is always near and not far away in some distant galaxy. It has infinite patience and is always opening itself toward you as well as around you. If you can remember that you are the open door, that's what Akhenaten says in his book, The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am. He says, you are the open door, the gateway and portal. Then you shall come into a long lasting contact with it, which is your higher self. And in italics, the higher self is the eternal I am presence in you and dwells in you. The higher self is the super consciousness in all of us. The higher self means that you have total access to it without any blockages because everything is energy flowing through at different frequencies. You are not stuck at the basic nine frequencies to feel its expression in you. Those nine frequencies are 174 hertz, 417 hertz, 741 hertz, 258 hertz, 528 hertz cycles, 825, 369, 639, or 963. In fact, people are listening to higher tones. That goes up into four digits, six-digit tones. There, the frequencies are there. And when people are doing that, it's embedded in music and is geared for deeper states of meditation and out of body experiences. Now, there's something known as the gamma ray energies, and that handles a mind that's like racing. So, what is essential here? The higher self is an infinite and immortal expression of the divine nature of God in you. That kind of reminds me of Reverend Ike. I was listening to some of his stuff tonight, and Reverend Ike said, here's how your prayer works. He said, who's the one answering the prayer? This was in the teaching in so many words of the late Reverend Ike. You can find his work on Rev Ike Legacy on YouTube. And one of all of his teachings are there. And he said about prayer, the secret of prayer is who are you praying to? He said, you're not praying to this force in the sky. You're praying to the God within you. And he says, when you link up to that mindset, that you're actually talking to you, which means the higher self, which is you, and you trigger that connection, then the blessing starts to roll. Why? Because now you're in communication with the God in you, which is the higher self, which is an infinite expression of God in you. That's basically what he's saying. And when you can trigger that belief and honor that belief and trigger that faith and trigger that truth, where it starts pouring through you and it becomes nonstop. There are many people out here teaching that you are a divine, conscious, immortal soul. Everybody is. You just have to come to that awakening and that awareness. And that's why it's important to take your time, moment to moment, studying moment to moment, and not racing through anything. Because the bottom line is, if you step into the higher plateaus with everything that you're doing, eventually it's left up to you. Doesn't matter who's teaching. Doesn't matter if Lloyd taught it, I taught it, Brandon, anybody else teaches it. Depending on who you are and where you are in your quest to understand that you are the living higher self. You are the true beacon of light. You have crossed boundaries where secrets do not exist. You are the living prayer. You are the obelisk. And you're the one that's in touch with everything around you. So I'm going to leave that note. I don't want to go too far. At least we have two parts. And I wrote down what the thing is for you. And I know there's some other people that may follow. Say, hey, can I get that deal too? Only if they're going to take both courses, because it's a lot of work to prepare. And what happens each week, I sent out a little class outline of the week for the chapters that are being covered in the books. And um, one of the things about it, I don't give out a test. I try to come up with a little paper certificate of a beginning level, usually toward the end. So I will get that, your address, and all of that. And then I get it out in the mail to you. But what is the most important thing as you start to learn this? My classes are interactive. So I'm not Mr. Know It All. I just know what I have in my books and what was given to me to present to the world and to teach it. And I do my best to make it a fun, enjoyable class. So there might be other people that take this that are into astrology, that are into, food fasting and things they remember. They might know the meta. When I taught the numerology class and the radiant heart and the numerology class twice, I had two astrologers in there, and they were pretty deep. They were coming up with some information that let me know that I was really on track with the book. And the same with radiant heart. So you get the video after the class, each class. So you're getting 13 videos. I try to keep them to 90 minutes. Sometimes they go off to 2 hours. So it takes a little while to upload them so you can get it. But we're going to have fun. I'm going to have fun giving this out to you. And I know that Rose Jefferson, you're going to have a blast. You're going to have fun intertwining both of them together because I can see right now you're going to take two of them. Your higher self is going to like be talking to you all night long how to weave the information together eventually. So I'm going to take off from here. Happy New Year to you as we come in to January 1st. And if you're not following that, then we follow the New Year's cycle, springtime. When spring to spring. Okay. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Thank you so much for coming back on with me. Yeah, I'm glad I did it. I always listen to my ancestors. I was out earlier today, and my late mother Grace came to me and said, "Boy, you need to go online tonight." And I said, "Do I have to?" Say yes. You're gonna go online, and if you don't, I'm gonna make it very uncomfortable for you. So I'm glad I went online and I listened. I would like to be regular. I was on TikTok for about 4 years, December 2020, and I'm gonna get rid of my TikTok account starting tomorrow. I'm going to delete it because I'm coming back to doing more work here on YouTube and somehow get some of this information uploaded into Instagram. In fact, tonight I didn't even record what I was doing. Usually I do little snippets of it so I could put it on Instagram live at the same time. I might do that more often. So thanks for joining me, coming on. You have a great night. I'm going to email you all the information, Rose, so that you have it with the deal in there for you. Okay? Take care. See you next time. Yeah, I think you're going to be all right. All right now.